Hey, it's Melina, and you're watching Girl in the Verse, the video podcast, where we explore the exciting world of decentralized technology and the people driving its innovation. What the F is an NFT, and why do they matter? What about decentralization and Web3 or cryptocurrency? Is it all a scam, or is it here to stay? If you've ever asked yourself these questions, know that you are not alone. I myself have asked a lot of questions, anywhere between owning a digital wallet, minting NFTs, dealing with gas fees, and a lot more. Whether you're a seasoned crypto veteran or just getting started on your journey into the wild west of Web3, this podcast is for you. My name is Melina. I am the founder of Girl in the Verse. My job really is to have conversations with founders and builders and artists and businesses and a lot more people in this space who have entered Web3, talk about their journey and why all of them believe that this is the future. This is it, friends. It's right now, and we are living it. And I'm so honored to be here, to have this stage with you to ask the right questions. Okay, without further ado, let's dive right in. Today we are joined by Alice, who is the author of Crypto Dictionary for Beginners, the first and only practical Web3 cryptocurrency basics handbook with everyday examples in the Web2 world. Alice has also been dabbling in cryptocurrency since 2017. She consults on operations and growth for projects that are listed for both IPO and ICO. And Alice has over 15 years of real estate development experience. Alice, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me. Great to be here.
So, of course, Alice, those following me on social media, right? I get a lot of women right now, women and men, telling me, hey, I love your content, but I just don't understand crypto. I don't understand. I'm uncomfortable, right? And I get that sort of that like shrug of like, or like that face of, I don't really understand. What do you tell people when it comes to crypto? You know, when people say, I don't understand, how do you start the conversation?
I think it's great that they're actually starting with I don't understand instead of, hey, this is a scam. Because I think what happens, well, that's the exact reason why I wrote the crypto handbook is because a lot of my friends, when I start to tell them about the crypto technology, is that they tell me that they Google and it's too technical and they think it's just something that strangers, people who are undoxed have created in terms of some magical internet money, and it's all a scam. So it's great that people are still trying to understand, because I think in order to keep up with technology, we all have to start somewhere. Remember when the internet first came out, no one understood how that works, but we just need to get learning and really understand why this technology is important and how it would impact us in the future.
I love that you mentioned that the scamming part, because I tend to joke about that now when I do my news updates. I'm like, oh, crypto's a scam, or, Amazon is set to launch their own NFT collection by the spring. Oh, I thought NFTs were a scam, right? So all these sort of scamming, quote unquote, fun tidbits that I do. But yeah, you're right. I guess it's interesting to see people now starting to put the pieces together. But what would you say is maybe the best way to start learning about crypto? Where do we start?
How I started was joining communities such as Web3 Montreal.
Yeah.
So learning from volunteers who are purely there to support one another, to help each other understand what the technology is without any hidden agenda. Those are the best ways. And to really meet people in real life so you can build that face-to-face connection and to really know a person. Because, our industry, a lot of people are hiding behind avatars. And I'm pretty old school. I still like to swap LinkedIns to make sure that, I check this person out, make sure it's a legitimate, real person before I put my name next to this person.
Now, Alice, obviously, like I said in the intro, you've been dabbling into crypto since 2017. Why should people care about crypto?
So to me, crypto is more than just cryptocurrency. It's actually the underlying technology. So as we know, some of you might have heard, it's the blockchain technology. And as somebody who's lived in 8 countries, I have no medical records that I personally can track.
Wow.
But imagine if my medical records were on the blockchain, and if these clinics and hospitals that I've been to were able to attach my medical records as an NFT, which is non-fungible token, to my record, I would have my medical records for life. And so you can actually have it soul-bound, which means you can't transfer this NFT to anybody else. So right now, it's a huge hassle for me to actually remember what happened, when, what doctors have I been to, what did they tell me? I don't remember any of it. And similar issue, driver's license. I had to switch my BC driver's license when I moved to Australia. And coming back here to Quebec, I actually couldn't switch my Australian driver's license directly to my Quebec license.
Wow.
So I would have had to go back to Vancouver, switch the Australian driver's license to the BC license, and then switch it back to Quebec. But if that was a soul-bound NFT, I wouldn't have that problem. So these are just some of the use cases that I can see personally would resolve a lot of my personal problems. Never mind the fractional investment into real estate or the fractional investment into things that we simply can't afford on a day-to-day basis. You can potentially fractionally own cars and invest in cars.
Obviously, you've written this book, Crypto Dictionary for Beginners. Maybe walk us through your reasoning as to why you wanted to write this out, right? I obviously just told you, listen, I get a lot of people asking me, what is it that you're doing online now? Because I don't really understand. Why did you feel this need to write this book?
So coming from a non-technical background, as you mentioned earlier, I come from a very traditional industry with about 15 years of real estate development. So it's a very traditional industry where nothing changes rapidly, unlike crypto. So a lot of my friends are also in traditional industries. And as soon as I tell them to investigate, this blockchain technology, they go online, they Google, and the terms that they find, the definitions that they find are just more technical terms. So instead of having clarification, they get more confused. So I realized that if I can simplify everything for my non-technical friends, and majority of the world are not technical, like my mom and dad, my grandparents, or, kids under 10, they're not necessarily technical. So if I can write a book that's easy enough for a 10-year-old to understand, maybe my grandmother wouldn't be so confused on what blockchain is. Maybe my mom would. Actually, my mom knows a lot about blockchain, but but maybe people my mom's age would be more inclined to learn about blockchain and why this is changing a lot of our the way we live moving forward. Could really change payments, loyalty programs, and how we invest in real estate and how we invest in healthcare systems. Yeah, so that's why I wrote the book.
I love that you said a 10-year-old could understand. Just this week I had someone ask me, hey, do you want me to talk about this the way I would talk to my mother about it, or someone who gets it? And I said, no, the latter, your mother, right? Like, talk to me as if you were to talk to a 10-year-old. Why do you think it's important to get it to its core basics? Again, we keep saying it. It's so much more than just crypto or NFTs, right? There's a lot more terms to encompass everything. Why do you think it's necessary, though, to make it so relatable and maybe, I guess, easy to understand?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know about you. If something is really complicated for me to understand, I am likely not going to spend the time and effort unless I'm really interested. So for me, I was really lucky. When I got on this journey, a lot of my friends were investing in different cryptocurrencies, and they started to talk to me about the different technology that's applicable. And I was quite curious. I have a very curious personality. So I kept on asking questions as if I was a 3-year-old. But most of people won't do that. Most people, if it's too intimidating, they'll just be like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then that's it.
And walk away. Yeah, that's what happens.
I
Yeah.
don't want that. I want people to be educated. I want people to not be afraid of what seems to be very technical. I want people to understand that even for, moms, grandmas, or even, my nephews, they can understand this. It's not that, it doesn't have to be that technical. It can be applicable, maybe not the exact usage, but we have very similar use cases today already. Why are we making the whole blockchain industry something specifically for computer scientists? Most of us are not. Most of us are normal people.
Yeah. So, and in your book too, you go through the different words, right? And you write it out in layman's terms. Why don't you give us certain examples? Like, for instance, cryptocurrency.
Sure.
How would you best describe it? And maybe give us an example as a use case. Yeah.
So I have a copy right here. I always can't quite see it, but there it is. Yeah. Okay, so I just want to quickly show you. So this is how simple I want to make things. I don't want to complicate things. I want people to glance at it and get an overview of what things are, instead of just throwing a bunch of technical jargons at somebody, which makes them lose interest because they don't have a technical background. So again, I'm talking to either a really young person or someone like my mom.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency, also known as crypto, is a tradable digital currency running on the blockchain. The system doesn't rely on banks or any other central payment system to verify all transactions. It is a peer-to-peer system that allows anyone to send and receive payments in minutes. Real life scenario. Cryptocurrency is like using your online banking, but more secure as it's decentralized, so your bank cannot lock your funds up. It is also faster and cheaper to transfer money. Also, your government and bank cannot lock out your money like they did in Cyprus in 2013 in centralized banking, where there is only one source of ledger. A cryptocurrency is decentralized and not controlled by a single entity.
And why, Alice, saying this, why do you think it's important for people to understand that it's not centralized, that it is actually decentralized?
That's another great question, because a lot of people don't know that. I think a lot of people, for example, we both live in Canada. And before living in Canada, I mentioned that I lived in 8 countries. A majority of those countries, UK, Australia, Germany, very safe, right? We don't imagine ever that a lot of people, 1.7 billion people don't have bank accounts in the world. And other is that places like Cyprus, from memory, what happened was anybody with a bank balance of 100,000 euros, overnight they got taxed. So let's say, for example, tonight, you had $100,000, 100,000 euros in your bank account. Tomorrow, it's 90,000. So if your money was in the bank, they can do that. But if you control and hold your own decentralized money in your own wallet, they can't do that. They cannot actually go into your offline wallet and do that. Yeah, so that's why I think it's important.
Another question I have here, right? You just mentioned, what was that number of how many people who did not have bank accounts?
1.7.
Wow. What is the reasoning behind that? Because again, like you said, we're very fortunate. We're in Canada. We have access to a bank account. We're a woman who has access to a bank account, right? Why would it be of interest for people in North America to take interest in the fact that, hey, listen, there's actually a lot more people in the world who don't have access to bank accounts, and here's why. Why is that important? Why is it important to have that conversation?
I think this is, definitely very multi-layered. Without getting too political, I think not just the lack of bank accounts, but a lot of countries, I don't have the exact number, but a lot of places, people actually don't have identity. They don't have IDs. They don't have official IDs. Without the official ID, they can't get a bank account. So without a bank account, they can only transact in cash. And a lot of places, their cash is so volatile with hyperinflation. Let's say right now, I sell a banana for $1, and then 10 minutes later, the dollar is worth 10 cents. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really scary. And for us, even though we're safe in first world countries, but what happens to the rest of the world? We can't live in silos.
Hmm.
With globalization, it's essentially one big economy. We can't just sit, safely in our homes in North America and not worry about the rest of the world. There's many things that could potentially happen. Yeah. Not all doom and gloom, but I really would like to see a lot of developing countries have the ability to start their own small businesses just with their crypto wallets. Yeah, I'm actually building a really cool tool to help people get access to crypto funds just from having a wallet address.
Wow. So how does that work, right? Like compared to, because you're right, if you go to a bank right now, they ask you for all these documentations. How would that work with what you're working on?
Yeah, so what we're building right now is part one of multiple layers. So the first layer is creating a payment link to make it very easy for somebody to request for funds. So I know you have this struggle if you've ever sent cryptocurrency. First, you worry that you got your wallet address wrong, right? And then to double check, if you're sending anything over, $500, you always want to send over a small amount. Let's say I'm sending money to my friend Olivier. I have to double check that, hey, I'm just going to send him $1. Make sure he gets that dollar before I send over the $500,
Yeah.
right? It's quite often that way. But now we're building this tool with Hero Cash where someone actually has a payment link. So with this payment link, you send it to anybody. They don't need to ever verify this address ever again. This is your wallet address. And they just click on the link and then they can just send you the funds that you want.
Wow.
No more back and forth.
And let's not forget, we're removing that middleman that a lot of people tend to forget. That's what happens with banking transactions too, right?
It's true. And it's been so annoying because I've had to transfer my Canadian dollars to Australian dollars and then Australian dollars to British pounds and then to US dollars and then back to Canadian. It's been a huge hassle. And how much did the banks make from me? A lot.
So with your system there, it's going to be quick and from, let's say, Alice to Melina, straight. We're going to do our own business transaction there.
Yeah. And you don't have to triple check my wallet address. You know it's right. You know it's verified by Hero. You know it's right. Because it is literally my biggest worry. When I transfer my own money,
It is too for me.
like Binance to my own wallet, I'm like, oh no, what if I copy and paste it wrong? I don't want to send Bitcoins to, just have it disappeared. I was like, oh no, it hasn't appeared in 2 hours. Oh no.
That is my biggest fear all the time, Alice. I kid you not. It is what I talk about almost on a daily, every time I want to send a transaction. Although we can all agree that when you copy paste, you're normally copying the right thing. I just tend to freak out and I have to copy it 20 times because, and it's gone, right? And there's, that's the blockchain for you, right?
That's right. It's irreversible. That is the pro and con, Nobody can take it from you, but it's also irreversible. That's why we're so cautious in just triple checking that it is the right account.
Alice, let's go back into your book there. I want to see, is there another word or term you could maybe help us understand? I know I talk a lot about NFTs, which for a lot of people right now, we're sort of starting to call them digital collectibles. How would you describe what an NFT
Oh
is?
gosh, NFT. I think that it's just our industry is so much fun because it's constantly changing. And
Yeah.
okay, so NFTs, non-fungible, it is absolutely unique. So it is one of a kind. You don't have anything that's 100% identical to it.
And what we're also seeing today, right, Alice, is all these utilities attached to NFTs. I'm just thinking about Starbucks right now because a lot of my friends, love Starbucks. They go almost daily, right? So why have a Starbucks NFT? Well, eventually you could lock in rewards. Maybe you could get your free macchiato, from owning a couple of NFTs from Starbucks. So there's also that utility aspect. And I know that things will change eventually too for NFTs and it's going to look different for businesses and what they're doing. What else can you tell us about non-fungible tokens.
Memberships and subscription, you technically don't own it. So for example, if I was to subscribe to Netflix, once I cancel my membership, that's it. I don't have anything I can transfer. I don't have anything to prove or to show. But through NFT ownership, you could actually rent out this NFT while you're not using it. Let's say, for example, I don't know if you've heard, Coachella actually released NFTs as their VIP memberships. So for example, if I had a Coachella NFT, if they want to do this, I can technically rent out my Coachella tickets. Let's say 2023, I'm swamped, not going to make it, Melina. I can rent it to you for $10. You just take it. But then once the year is up, I get it back. So next year, I can go back to Coachella. But this year, I rented it to you. So with NFT, it's possible. You know, current technology is just not possible. And it's also very costly. So from the research that we've done to roll out a loyalty program, it's about $500,000. Most companies can't do that. Yeah.
And I'm also thinking, and I know we're jumping into different things, but with NFTs, I'm also looking at how musicians are going to use NFTs, right, for themselves, for their music, for owning their own stuff, right? Royalties attached to that. I'm thinking about artists who draw, who want their art, you know, to get those royalties back, because we say it a lot, we mention it a lot, right? If you own a painting like the one behind me, I own it. But, you know, if I sell it, the face of myself, if I sell it to somebody, the artist there doesn't get anything, but an NFT could allow that, right?
That is true. I'm sure a lot of industries will like it because they're right now the middlemen. So if through blockchain technology and smart contract, there is a big risk that a lot of these middlemen will be cut out. Why would an artist pay 80% of their profits to the middlemen if they can go direct and have that perpetual royalty whenever, so they can code it into the smart contract whenever the NFT is sold? The NFT could be anything. You're right. The NFT could be a book, a song, a poem, a piece of artwork. And even the artwork could be tied to a real life piece of artwork. So every time that's transacted, the original creator can be, if they want, they can opt into the perpetual royalties. Yeah.
How do we get them interested? I mean, here we are going gaga crazy about royalty programs and Coachella next year, right? But how do we get more people into this stuff?
I think as people like us, Web3 people already, we need to keep it simple for the newbies. I really try not to scare people off by always being super gung-ho about the jargon. My personal philosophy is that I want mass adoption. I want people to understand the technology and the use cases. I don't want people to focus on, you know, the PFPs, profile pics, or you know, just on the artworks. You know, it's great to spread the word through beautiful art, but at the same time, I want people to understand that there's utility behind the technology, the blockchain technology. I encourage everyone to attend their local meetups. These kind of blockchain get-togethers are very common now. You can probably find on Google a meetup close to you. Get to meet the people in person. Ask questions. Don't be afraid. Honestly, if my mom can learn, anybody can. And she's not very technical. Yeah.
I love that.
She actually knows a lot about blockchain. I try to explain it to her. She's like, yeah, I get it. I get it. It's like building a house. And then once you build layers of bricks on top of each other, you can't remove the bottom layer. I'm like, Mom, I'm putting that in my book.
And I love that you're saying that, because my mom still doesn't get it. She just hears me talking about it. But it's one of those things where I think at this point, at this day and age, what I keep saying is, if you're a business, you're someone who has an idea, just a creative, anything right now, you're in education, you're a teacher right now, whatever it is that you're doing, learn about the blockchain technology, because it will affect your life. It will affect your business. It will affect, you know, the degree you have, the job you have. It will change. But Like I tell everybody, you don't want to be 5 years behind.
That's
You want to be ahead of everybody else. So I keep saying, I'm encouraging you to do your homework. I don't want anybody feeling left behind. I remember that time when I used to tell people, guys, Instagram is how you can start selling your favorite products. And people were like, nah, I can't do that. And look today.
I run a team, and I always try to tell them that it's okay to make mistakes, because if none of us have the ability to make mistakes, none of us can talk or walk. When we were kids, nobody cared if we stand up, take a few steps, and fall down. Same thing in learning anything new. Doesn't matter if it's blockchain technology or a new language. People make mistakes, and it's absolutely okay. I think it's really just about being humble and curious and knowing that there's unlimited things to learn in every single industry. Like 2017, it's almost 6 years now I've been learning about crypto. And the more I learn, the more I know nothing. And it's just every single day there's new terms coming out, new technology being invented. And even just a few weeks ago with ChatGPT, everything is changing very rapidly. Like I don't want to be left behind. So I'd say change the mindset and have a learner's mindset. Don't be scared. Everyone makes mistakes. Have you heard of Brene Brown with Daring?
Yes.
Daring greatly. That's exactly how I feel. I actually started learning martial arts at a very late age. I was 32 when I started learning Muay Thai. Everybody in my class, the average age of my class was 22. I had such a tough time. I was not doing anything right. And it took me at least a year to get down the basics. And I think it's definitely, did I look dumb? Of course I did. And did I laugh at myself? Every day. There were multiple times I'd be laughing at myself so hard. I can't keep up. I can't keep kicking because I'm laughing so hard at how bad I'm doing. But going back to Brene Brown, people standing on the sidelines are going to be watching, be like, wow, I wish I can do that in my 30s. Wow, I wish I can learn blockchain in my 50s. People are going to be envious when you can actually have a growth mindset. Yeah.
And I mean, I say it all the time. You have to start before you're ready, always, because you have to make those mistakes. That's how you get better, right? Just like everything else that I do, right? People ask me, oh my God, how do you do this video content? Well, you're going to have a day one. You're going to have to accept, right? That day one is going to suck. It's going to suck.
Yeah, for sure. And I was thinking about this quote from the founder of LinkedIn. Can't remember his name, but it's, if you, don't quote me on this. So it's along the lines of, if you are not embarrassed by your product, you release too late. Realize that nobody is born knowing anything except for breathing. Everything else we know today, we learned. If you can learn to speak any language or even sign language or even walk, you have the ability to learn basic blockchain technology. Yeah, I hope that we can get more people on board, but this is a message to blockchain and Web3 natives. Keep it simple, guys. Don't scare people off. We want mass adoption. Actually, I forgot to mention the project for utilizing blockchain technology in the backend. So for users, they don't actually know it's running on blockchain. So I think that would be also another good way for us Web3 builders to onboard more non-technical Web2 people, is build it so simple, so smooth, like a current, what they're used to, but utilizing blockchain technology. Nobody needs to know. It's just operating smoothly in the background.
I'm going to put the link of your book. I'll put it. Your LinkedIn. How do you want people to find you? LinkedIn?
I'd say, LinkedIn and Instagram. I'll try to be more social media active. I'm super not active.
What's your Instagram?
Alice Loves Web3.
Now, Alice and I would love to hear from you. What is the best way to onboard beginners in the lingo of cryptocurrency? I'd love for you to share your comments down below. As always, if you dig this episode, you gotta let me know up in the DMs. We all know that is where the party is happening. You can go and follow me on all social media platforms at Girl in the Verse. I'd love for you to come say hi to me, come chat with me. I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.